Welcome back. All right, starting things off today with a news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Monday, July the 7th. Starting off at the top of the board with Cam York. He has signed an extension with the Philadelphia Flyers. The restricted free agent signs for 5 years, carries a cap hit of $5.15 million. I think that's a good deal for both the team and for the defenseman. And if York continues to improve each year, that contract ends up being a bargain. And with it being 5 years, I just feel like 5 years is kind of the perfect length for a contract. 4 or 5 years, that's the sweet spot to me. I know things have changed. I know 7-8 year deals seem to be the standard, and starting next year, 6 or 7 years will be the standard. But yeah, to me, the 5 year contract is where I like to see him. The Detroit Red Wings looking to make changes in terms of how their goaltending is approached. They have hired Michael Leighton as their goaltending coach. Goaltending has been an issue in Detroit, and so changing out the goaltending coach could help. And all the best to Michael Leighton in his new job with the Detroit Red Wings. The St. Louis Blues signed 2 players to the exact same contract. Hunter Skinner, Zherenko as well. They both signed 1-year, 2-way contracts that pay $775,000 in the NHL, and at the AHL level will pay them $125,000. The New York Rangers have signed Brisson to a 1-year, 2-way contract as well. His contract a little different. It's got the guaranteed in there. So $775,000 that Brisson will be paid at the NHL level, $100,000 in the AHL, and it has a guarantee of $125,000. So if he spends the whole year in the AHL, that kicks in an extra $25,000 for him. The Buffalo Sabres did elect to take Bo and Byram to arbitration. This rules out the possibility of an offer sheet. There's the terminology I was looking for. Which I know that Kevin Adams has said he's not concerned about it, but you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be dealing with an offer sheet. So now for Byram, he can choose the term. Apparently that's the one thing with players. They can choose a 2-year contract, which would walk him to free agency if that's the case. The Sabres want to get this done with Bo and Byram, but they opt to take him to arbitration. You can only do that with a player once in their career, so this could not happen to Byram again should he become a restricted free agent again. And then Jack McBain has been taken to arbitration by the Utah Mammoth. So McBain, they're going to look to get that done. I really don't think we're going to see very many arbitration hearings. Usually in any given year, we'll see 1 or maybe 2. And so I don't see any reason why this year should be any different, especially since there's fewer players who are going to arbitration than usual. More signings to discuss. The Vegas Golden Knights getting some of their depth dealt with. Lavoie has signed a contract extension. These are all 1-year deals for Lavoie, $775,000 at the NHL level, $235,000 at the AHL level, and a guarantee of $300,000. Ron Bjerg has signed a 2-way deal as well, $775,000 at the NHL level, $250,000 at the AHL level, and a guarantee of $375,000. So you can see the difference between what Vegas is paying for their guys in the minors and the ones that were signed by St. Louis and by the Rangers there. And then you got Schwint signs a 1-way contract. From what I can see, it's a 1-way deal. $825,000 for Cole Schwint. So he gets a better deal than the other 2. But all 3 of them could earn a healthy amount of money if they stay in the National Hockey League. So Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to be a team to watch during the offseason. That's the reason I'm wearing Penguins gear. Rust and Raquel are both seen as being on the block. Apparently a lot of calls about them. And it is very likely that one of the 2 gets moved this summer. I don't think they move both, but it's pretty clear that Kyle Dubas understands that this team probably needs to go through some sort of a retool at the very least. And Gavin McKenna's in the draft, so you don't want the team to be bad, but oh shucks, we're going to be bad, and then, great, now we get McKenna. Now what are we going to do? So yeah, I don't think that we'll see a shortage of teams going for it. My guess is we'll see a few teams this summer being obvious about it, and then once we get into the regular season and some teams get off to slow starts, they'll phone it in from there. Trade players out and just not really worry about getting better, because next year's draft is seen as being better than this year's draft. And again, Gavin McKenna is one of those players that could end up getting the same amount of hype as a Connor McDavid, as a Sidney Crosby. Ridiculous amount of hype around this kid already. So we'll see if that changes during the year, but at this point in time, it looks like Pittsburgh wants to be in those sweepstakes, and moving Raquel or Rust saves them a little bit of money, in all likelihood, depending on how that trade ends up looking. And both players are still pretty darn good offensively. Zach Dalpe's announced his retirement from hockey, or at least NHL retirement. 168 games played in the NHL, 16 goals, 16 assists, 32 points, playing for Carolina, Vancouver, Buffalo, Minnesota, Columbus, and Florida. But Zach Dalpe played a ton of games in the AHL. I think it was over 600 games in the AHL. And he played pretty darn well in the AHL too. So Dalpe was one of those ones who was pretty good in the AHL, never quite translated to the NHL, but he still was a good player in some of those call-ups. He scored a very important goal for the Florida Panthers, of course, in a call-up as well. So all the best to Zach Dalpe in retirement. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.